new episode of Patty and Stocking. Yay! Yeah, I have no life. Really have no life. Some people in my family want to go out and see the Christmas tree get lit up. And they're actually talking to me through the door right now, even though I'm recording a show for my YouTube channel. And you should, oh, that's great, rain is coming. That means we can't leave the house. Hey everybody, this is Daily Mutterings, Gotta Love Breath. What do I call myself now? Oh yeah, M-Pig. And I went to go see Harry Potter yesterday, and that was a terribly thrilling experience. Not terribly, actually. It was a bit of a disappointment, for me anyways. I was sort of sitting down with mild expectations going, I love the book, but from what I've read, this is sort of an in-between. This is half of a really good movie. From what I watched, this is half of a mediocre fantasy film that is really well acted, with excellent performances by Emma Watson from, you know, everybody within the main three kids group. I can only remember Emma Watson for some reason. Oh, Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe. Of course I could only remember Emma Watson because I'm a man. A boy, or whatever you want to call me, at age 19 turning 20. I am 19 turning on 20. I'm not going to sing that right now, and I may sound a little bit clogged up for some reason. I think it's the season change. All of a sudden I'm getting a stuffier nose and a sore throat, so I think that's allergies or something. I don't know. Whenever it starts getting cold, I start freaking out and I start sounding a little bit grungier than usual, and it's like, bleh, start sounding like Elton John on any given day when he's not singing, which is quite amusing. I want to sound like Hugh Jackman or somebody, or Daniel Craig or Harrison Ford, which is, you know, sort of my ideal, I suppose. So anyways, oh shoot, I wish I had recorded this right after I came out of Harry Potter, because now I have almost nothing to say about it, really. My disappointment with the entire project was basically that they almost adapted the book too well, as opposed to the last few adaptations, which I know my friend Taylor is going to like slap me around for this, but I've always felt that the best adaptations are ones that know how to cut shit out and how to put stuff back in. How to put new material in to support a film, as opposed to supporting some sort of hand job for the fans, which is sort of what this felt like, because it goes through point for point for point practically all the scenes in the book, all the Horcruxes, and everything, and it doesn't support the pacing for a film very well, I don't think, at least for somebody who isn't a diehard of the books. And I love the books. I read them all once. I know enough about the Harry Potter universe to come into this film and be pleased by some of it. But it just feels like, since there's so much stuff here, even when they cut it in two parts, there's so much that could have been left on the table. Pretty much, you could have done this as a 3.5-hour movie. One 3.5-hour movie for the last book. And it would have been far superior than what I think we're getting right now. I haven't seen Deathly Hallows Part 2, so I can't really judge. The issue with this is the pacing just feels... I'm not going to say it's too slow, because I actually loved the slow bits. The problem I had is that it cuts between, okay, here we have them in the woods, which is actually really beautiful and poignant, and we get a lot of wonderful little character bits, to all of a sudden there'll be a bang, 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 boom action sequence that just goes by way too fast, that has no tension to it whatsoever. One of the examples of this is when they start going into this is before they're out in the woods actually, but they start going into the Ministry of Magic, and none of the tension and none of like the anticipation I felt while reading the book is in this sequence at all, because it just feels like they're absolutely rushing through it. There's not enough time to really make you feel like these characters are in any real danger. There's none of that sort of build up to it. It's not directed with the same flair as, I would say, the number 3 and number 4 were, which are my personal favorites. If you're a fan of David Yates and his direction, I suppose you might be a little more forgiving. David Yates is probably my second least favorite Potter director, with Chris Columbus being number 1. But, you know, which is somewhat of a shock because he directed the last 3 movies. Number 5 and number 6 I still thought were really good, and I was willing to forgive the fact that they weren't as great as Azkaban, simply because, you know, there were still good movies, and I was willing to look past that, and I was like, okay, when we get to Deathly Hallows, things are going to really kick up. But now that we're at Deathly Hallows, things have not kicked up, and I'm feeling a bit disappointed, because this is supposed to get me really excited. This is part 1 of 2. This is supposed to be where things shit really starts to hit the fan. And I'm not getting that at all. I'm getting a point-for-point adaptation of the J.K. Rowling novel, which, while it was fantastic and I loved the book, doesn't translate all that well into a motion picture event. So I suppose if you're really die-hard, you're going to look at me and go, oh, that's absolutely nuts. You mean you want them to chop off, like, most of this particular film? Yes, I actually feel like the first half of Deathly Hallows could have been cut out. A good portion of it, not the majority, maybe a good 40% could have been chopped off this film. You're just watching it going, okay, this point could have been completely cut out and replaced with something else simpler. This could have been cut out and replaced with something that would have gotten to the point a lot quicker. This is just me coming in from an adaptation point of view, a filmmaking point of view. I'm sitting here going, a lot of this is just, I'm not going to say too convoluted, but it's way too much exposition to explain what the hell's going on. I mean, this is, I gave it the title Harry Potter and the Clusterfuck of Exposition on Facebook just the other day, because that's honestly how I feel about it. You're going through the motions of what this world represents, what these characters are supposed to do, and every time they're introduced to some sort of new obstacle, there has to be quite literally Hermione pulling out a book for about 5 minutes and explaining what some symbol means, who they have to see next, and it just doesn't make for all that interesting of drama, especially when you've been walking about for so long. It just doesn't feel like much happens in this particular film. The drama is great as far as the character interactions and the way the character relationships develop, but the drama as far as, you know, where the story of Harry versus Voldemort is going is completely uninteresting. Maybe this was a problem with the book, and I'm biased and I haven't read it in so long that, you know, I completely erased this particular portion of it from my memory, which I have it because I was watching it going, okay, trim this, trim this, trim this. And a lot of this was, I remember, actually pretty slow in the books, but for some reason I always pictured it being more intense than what's represented on screen. But again, that might be David Yates and the fact that he has no idea what tension means. At least for me. I know lots of people disagree with me, but he's no Alfonso Cuarón or whatever that guy's name is. That guy I worship, because he also did Children of Men, which is like the most genius film ever. One of the best. He made one of the best children's not Final Fantasy. He made one of the best children's fantasy films of like the last decade, and he also made one of the best science fiction films of the last decade. So you got to give that guy props for being a really visionary filmmaker. There's nothing else I can say. I was just really disappointed with this, and this is the first time in a long time that I've been disappointed with a Harry Potter film. Which is strange, because the last one was the one everybody was disappointed in. I remember walking out and people were turning to me going, you actually liked it? Oh, you're just like full of it, because I didn't like it at all. I liked Half-Blood Prince quite a bit. It represented a lot of what I felt the book was, and a lot of the feeling I got reading the book. Deathly Hallows is not capturing that at all, mostly because, you know, there's no sense of tension because it's a point by point. Nobody is going through and actually really making a film. This is a for the fans, which I always felt it's like the biggest insult you could possibly throw at somebody. If it isn't for everybody, it doesn't really work. And somebody who hasn't read the book, I think, is going to be completely lost on one of these points. And anybody who goes in and says, oh, you should have read the book first, is a complete bullshitter. Because I can tell you right now, if you have to read the source material to entirely understand a movie that's supposed to stand out as a film, then the filmmakers have not done their job. I'm just going to leave it at that. This is MPig, aka My Profile is Great, and I am signing out. Oh, other points I want to make. The wedding sequence was a complete disaster as far as I'm concerned. Completely... Yeah, I think you'll know when you see it. Alright, peace.